Hello, gentlemen. Welcome. It's about time, given all the shenanigans that have been transpiring lately with the stream up and running again, I thought it was about time that I actually taught you a bit about World of Tanks again. Hopefully, that's the ambition. Anyway, so here we are on Arctic Region. We're joined by Jadek. We are in the Conklin's beautiful Tier 9 heavy tank that makes the M103 completely obsolete with better rate of fire, better pen, better aim time, better chunk armor, better top speed by 0.3, I believe. The only thing it lacks in is gun depression, really. I'll orientate you towards this game later. What I want to do now is take you over to a map review, because you guys have been begging me to do a map review for ages, and we're going to start out with Arctic Region. A warning to you, it is quite in-depth, it is quite long, and I'm a fan of monologuing for an extensive period of time. So what I will do for you is I'll put the key times of the analysis in the description below. I did a kind of light tanks do this, medium tanks do this, you know, kind of thing. So I'll put that in the description, so if you want to know what to do in a certain tank on this map, do check that out. But it's worth watching the whole thing to get an idea of how this map works. So I'll see you when you come back. Well, hello ladies and gents, welcome to Arctic Region. I'm here, my teeth for lightweight. Peabody is chilling on the EU server, which is remarkably odd for him, in his Tier 2 American light tank, the Tetrarch. We might run into him a few times as we YOLO around this map. Now, this is going to be a different map review from those you're probably used to, because I'm actually going to take you around the map while explaining what I think of it. Now, Arctic Region is... it's an unusual map, and the reason why I say that is the heavy combat actually matters. That's the thing about World of Tanks. Mediums, Tier 10 mediums, Tier 9 mediums even, as a class, as a species, as what they are overpowered. The entire meta is overpowered. The fact that medium tanks can batter to death an E100 and not bat an eye, just bat a Tukey, is overpowered, and it shouldn't happen, but it does. And what that means for Arctic Region is that the heavy combat mattering is significant, and that makes this map quite odd. So, generally what will happen, obviously you have heavies fighting down here, and you have mediums and more versatile heavies and lights up in the north of the map. Now, what I will do in this review is I will take you around the entire map, and I'll explain what I do in every single different class of vehicle, and so you get a well-rounded idea of how this map works. Now, Arctic Region, it differs greatly based on one key factor, and that is whether or not there are artillery in the game, because if there are, then the Northern East team have a massive disadvantage. The Southwest team easily win the game the majority of the time. I would say 65 to 70% chance, assuming all skill level is taken out and the teams are completely equal. Southern West team have a better chance to win, purely because of the layout of the map, and we'll probably get into talking about that later. But for what I will say now, it is just that it's especially true on the heavies. If from the southwest base I go to attack here, I can kill all of your heavies. My heavy force can kill all of your heavies, because when your heavy force comes down here, you get shot by our arty. But it's not until the southern west heavies push all the way up here into the base that they've already killed your heavy force that they start getting shot by arty. So it's a ridiculously unbalanced heavy tank engagement when arty is involved. However, I am getting distracted. Let's talk about classes of vehicles. We'll start off with light tanks, because light tanks are the most difficult. Let's assume that you've spawned at the southern west base in your light vehicle. What do? Arctic Region's not Malinovka, it's not Plukhanovka, it's not a scout map. But there are positions that you can use. For example, from the southern west base, there is an aggressive bush that can allow you to kind of bring difficulty towards the people that like to camp. And also, if you warn your archer at the start of the game and you tell them to aim here, aim at E9, E0, and then you go to this bush, you will most likely spot some of the turrets of the heavies as they move over there, and the arty can get early shots as well. Often works best when you're platooned with the arty, but that bush is becoming less and less useful as wargaming basically enforced their hatred for all light tanks by removing all cover and any good scout maps. So, perhaps not the best position. One that's more versatile is moving down in the lay of the land here, in the low ground, and getting to this area. Now, people have caught on to this fact, and most likely you'll get people up on that hill over there, pre-aimed for this location, as well as the arty, so make sure you're careful with that. It's often best to reverse up into this location in your light tank so you can make a quick getaway if you need to. Your objective here should not be to shoot and harass the enemy, unless you're in a high tier medium with good chunk armor, Chief 4, Object 140. Your objective here is to spot the guys crossing there so that your tanks that are stationed by these rocks right here, E2, I'll just show you that position right now. Your guys that are moving towards the northern part of this map can get an early advantage by dealing some damage from a safe position, and it's something that myself and Jadek have done countless times. We've got a light tank spotting for us, so we wait in this position to get shots there, because we have shots at the entirety of this open land, and combining this fire support position with an early scout there is a great way of getting an advantage on the north, which otherwise would be a fairly difficult combat. Now, light tanks should generally stay away from the south of the map until it's opened out a bit more. The only other thing I have to say about light tanks is, of course, wait for your opportunity. I don't think Arctic region is really a map that presents that many opportunities for light tanks, and not any that I can just say hard and fast in a map review with no context of what's going on in a battle. Do this, do that. I will think about now what one might do if you spawn in the northern east. Now, about your only option is to go up to the north of the map, because going down to the south just gets you killed by the enemy heavies and the enemy arty, and pushing it in the light is just, well, quite frankly, it is stupid. Oh no, a Tetrarch! Oh no. Okay, so heading to the north of the map in your lights, generally you're going to be in a group with your other mediums, your more versatile heavies. So it's basic light tank play. You pop out, you take a shot, you're careful, you're supporting, and generally it's very passive play. There's not a lot you can do here, although one thing you might want to consider is while your team are pushing around the flat out north, sort of that B1, B2, then you may well be able to, using new physics, to get up in a sneaky position up here and all the way on top of this hill. I hope. I'm going to look like a complete idiot if you can't. No! And there you go. Yeah, and you can actually, assuming that there's nothing back there, this is extremely sneaky and quite dangerous as well. If you get over here, this can win games right here, because the enemy will be holding the position. It's a popular position to hold. You know, sort of C2 back down here. Getting a sneaky light tank over here can dig these guys out without your team having to expose themselves around the corner at D2 and getting shot by all the guys that are down the 2 line as well as the enemy arty. So that's a position worth knowing about as well. Other options are to dive down back into that dip that I said about using from the southern west base, getting under the enemy, and that gives you the versatility to shoot at the guys in that position as well, which I should mention you should bear in mind when coming over this land, that if there is a tank there, you will be exposed to its fire. So if there is a tank there, probably best to move to this area, either dive down into the dip or get up to this position in order to dig out the guys there. So those are your options for lights basically. Let us move on to medium tanks, which obviously have a lot more versatility and potential And to be honest, I can clarify what you should do in lights with a lot more certainty. Although, I'm questioning that now. Can I? Because mediums are among the most versatile vehicles in the game. From one to the other, you've got armor to just general mobility, you've got the AMX-30 to the Sense 1, and they bring to the table vastly different playstyles, and it all depends. Arctic Region is a map where you've got to pay attention to your team list, because as I said, the heavy tank combat is important. So you've got to ask yourself in questions. It's especially important in mediums and more versatile heavies. Do we have artillery in this game? If so, then from a southern west base, probably what you want to do is take the north. Because the enemy, if they win the south, that's actually good for you. If you have weakness, and the enemy have more heavies than you do, then if they push around here and you have arty, you can spot them from these locations, safe locations, and they'll get hammered as they push this open land to your base. It really isn't that critical if the enemy win the southeast of the map with that heavy engagement, and that's worth thinking about with your versatile mediums, because clearing the north it's so much more important, because if you clear the north, then the heavy engagement that's made in the southeast is made completely obsolete, because you can come into their base and the enemy cannot push anyway. That said, mediums, generally speaking, should take the north of the map, unless you've got something versatile like a St. Axe or... this is the problem I'm getting into. St. 7-1 pattern, better players will be able to work them in heavy tank engagement, but it all depends on the situation. For the most part, you should look at grabbing the north of the map. Any recommendations that I have, if you find yourself at a disadvantage on this area, if you know that, okay, we don't have as many mediums as the enemy, then play a multi-level engagement. Play one up, play one back. Works best in a platoon as usual, but have one of you there, and another one behind this layer of land here. Now, you can enhance that. If you don't want to overcommit and have a guy down there with the potential for him to get rushed, then it's also very easy for the southern west base to defend this flank, because all you have to do is put one guy here around this location, and you get the other guy all the way out on this land here, and you're going to notice the lay of the land that will help you to use this position to your best advantage, because I can engage these guys that are coming down this flank at any point. I can spot them from my arty, I can go a hole down, and Peabody right now is absolutely screwed if he's an enemy tank, because he just can't make an engagement with me, and if he does push up, my guys on the corner and my arty are going to kill him anyway. The concern with that is that the enemy can get to that location right there, and that does mean dangerous things for you, because out here you still have a bit of a lay of the land cover, but the enemy can use those knots to kill those guys, and then you're kind of alone at the back. I've had that happen to me before. It is not pleasant at all. Let's look at mediums from northeast, shall we not? It'll take me a while to get over there, but from the top of my head, you obviously want to be careful about not getting spotted from that early scouting run. When you're playing a medium, it might not be so dramatic, because obviously the guys that get here are mostly going to be maybe slower and stay here to get supporting fire, and you will be spotted in the open by that light tank if you're not careful, so make sure you do not stop in this open land. You just get over there as fast as you can and get to this northern engagement up here. Now, recommendations for holding this area, again, lay of the land is very useful up here. For one thing, from the northern east base, it does have an advantage on the top line here, but only so far as this location. As soon as you push around to that corner, then the northeast team have a disadvantage on the north because of the way the lay of the land works and how linear this engagement is progressing to the southwest base. What you want to do if you're outmatched on this northern flank is use the lay of the land here. This position is especially good if you use it, because You hold down, you control the enemy back into your line of fire, you're most likely going to have supporting fire from that location. You can imagine if people trying to outflank your position here, the supporting fire you get from your arty and anyone you stationed out there as well. It's a very good way of holding. To use this lay of the land, you can actually pull back further and use it like this if you want to as well, being able to whoop and get the hell out at any opportunity. That said, there's also an option for using this land, I believe. Oh no, have they? Damn it, I think they took my position. Curses. Oh, options. Oh, well, now that's pretty. See, I'm learning things. This is a beautiful hold down position by the looks of it. I am out of the Linda distance of anyone who might be shooting in. I'm a bit worried about this guy who potentially has shots, but I do think I'm out of the Linda distance as long as I keep up here. But this is a good position to hold for the northern flank. If you are outmatched on the north, that position there, if you're confident in the fire support that you have, if you're not, use this. Damn good. Okay, heavies. Heavy tanks. What can you do with them? Obviously, we're going to gallivant off to the south of this map here because, hell, that is the heavy tank engagement of dreams. But a difficult one to master if you've not got the idea of what this map is about. Again, think at the start of the game. Do the enemy have two things? Do the enemy have heavies? Do they have TDs? Do they have arty? That's 20 things. I can't do maths. Whatever. You need to know this because it dramatically affects the combat abilities of your forces down here. For example, if I'm a heavy, let's say I'm an IS-7. I've only got 6 degrees of gun definition, I believe, on the IS-7. It might be 5. I think the Object 260's got 5 and it's one less. But yeah, I come up here. I'm held back by a T-124, a T-123, you hold down back there. Sure, my arty might do something, but it's gonna be difficult as well. And to be honest, if I have TDs back there, that is a poor play from the Southern West team's perspective if they have arty in play. Because, hello, it's an enemy tank, I shall kill it! Okay, if the enemy have TDs and arty, they should not put someone out there, because that person is likely to discourage the enemy from pushing this land. And if you spawn at the southwest, you want the enemy to push the south, because they have a massive disadvantage. I can outplay 5, 6, 7 enemy tanks that all push the south simply by going to this position in a tank with half decent tank armor. I spot them. As soon as they try and get out over there, I've got supporting fire from my guys back at base, all in that corner. I've got the arty shooting at them. It is pretty much impossible for the enemy to push a heavy tank force over this land and still have significant health at the end of it. So what you want to think about as a heavy from the southwest engagement is it actually, do I have a disadvantage there? Is it actually better to let the enemy win that so that they outplay themselves? That is such a significant idea in the Arctic region because of how the map works. It's unbalanced, it's unfair, it is an unbalanced engagement, but you can use it to your advantage as a heavy by not coming to this land in the first place from the southern west spawn, because you might as well just let the enemy attack. Because this land means nothing, pretty much. Because, look at that. It's so open, it just, oh my god, it pains me, it physically pains me how unbalanced this map is for the southwest team. Now, if you do have to make an engagement here, assuming you've got some people holding the higher pass, this is one of the few engagements where I wouldn't say it's a bad idea to abandon the high ground, because you can use this position here to get shots, and this low ground position to outflank the enemy. I'd suggest that the low ground here is actually far more important, because the high ground is very linear and results in 1, you getting shot by arty, and 2, you getting locked down by whatever's back there as well. The lowground ironically affords you access to an area that's far closer to the majority of the enemy and their base than this area does, and that's, to be honest, an odd engagement and good map design on part of Wargaming. I gotta tell you, this engagement here, were it not for the fact that it's completely unbalanced and unfair and in favour of the Southern West team, it's a well-designed map. If Archie wasn't in the game, I would say that. Now, Northern East team, I'll say this to you right now, it is so unlikely, it is more or less impossible, if the enemy has 3 RT of significant tier and maybe a couple of TDs, for you to win the game by pushing along the south. For one thing, it will take you so long that by the time you've done it, you will have lost your base to mediums. And for another thing, by the time you get to the enemy base, you'll be in such low health because of the people shooting in there and the guys spotting there that the RT will just kill you before you even do anything. And if not, these guys will kill you after they come back to base. So, you've really got to consider, do I have enough of an advantage here to push this open land? And if not, then I recommend holding. Let whoever's stupid enough on your team to go down there, let them die. I know it sounds mean, but let them die and draw the enemy up, because you can do the exact same thing to them that this map does to you when you attack in the south. If you take this position and the enemy are pushing, all of a sudden it's them who are exposing themselves in open land to the fire of your arty and TDs, which is a very effective way for the Northern East team to outplay the heavy tank combat. Not only can you outplay it and actually win it, but you can delay it significantly enough for your forces on the northern flank to attack. And that is important because, as I said, this engagement is unbalanced. I mean, it's a nice heavy tank fight, and the reason why I say that the heavy tank combat matters is because the Southwest team can win very easily by attacking with heavies because it's so unbalanced. Okay, TDs. Let us move on to TDs. Now, I'm sure this play is going to be influenced by the fact that I just cannot camping TDs at all. I just cannot do it. But what I would recommend is that if there's no arty, and you're a passive TD player, maybe you've got good chunk armor, maybe you're in a Vuff or something, there is an ability for you to use this lay of the land, if you're not aware, to shoot in at the heavies down here. If you go here, in the tank with half decent gun definition, reverse up here, you do have speculative shots, but Wargaming have been sneaky without Glock. You can't go all the way back here. Okay, now here's the position that you want. Now, you're in risk of being spotted if they push up too far, and the guys that use their gun definition on this area of land will most likely light you up, but from my point of view, what I would say about this position is it's good until it's not. Really, if you go out here, I think you're overcommitting. One or two things will happen. Well, one or three things, I guess. Either your team will win, and you'll be stuck at the back here and not get a lot of damage or not be significant to the team. 2, you'll have a great game and just finish off the enemy team. Unlikely. Or 3, the enemy will just push, you'll be stuck in this location, and you'll just die. There'll be nothing that you can do because you can't consolidate far from the rest of your team. That position, for the majority of the time, is overcommitting, especially when we consider how hard it is for the enemy to attack out of that land. So as a TD, I would recommend sticking closer to a position that is more adaptable. You don't want to be out on the edge of the map where you're going to get stuck if the combat goes against how you thought it would. So you want to hug these bushes, probably get into the position up there, will enable you to go hold down if the heavies push, as well as getting far support to the guys. Well, you can shoot the guys camping here, as well as having domination over the north of the map. And of course, there's the classic camping position up there as well. Really, TDs, they don't have that many options because I would say this position is probably the best for a defensive play with a TD, because you can defend the north very easily, and you can relocate to defend the south as well. So, yeah, TDs don't move far from base, and it's exactly the same on the other side, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. It is very effective for a TD to sit up here, although I would feel more keen, more excited if I took the north position, the north of the map, but maybe that's just my TD playstyle. It is a bit manic, I must say. One play I'd like to mention about medium tanks. Me and JDEG have taken to calling it the A44 play, and that is because the first time we did it was in A44 simply. That is, if you are top tier in powerful medium tanks, it can be very good to yellow straight over here in this low ground here, and come straight over the middle of the map and dive straight at the start of the game into that low ground. And it may seem odd, but what you need to do once you're there is not stay static. You dive over here, get through this open land as quickly as possible, dive into here, round whatever's here, whack whatever's here. I meant to do that. Okay, cool. You kill whatever's here, and then this is very important. You need to keep going over this land. Do not stop at this land here. You need to keep going, and you need to kill everything so far as this area here. You need to make sure this area is clear, and then don't push, because most likely that combat is still going on here. At the point when you've cleared this, you can fall back. Because what will happen if you don't clear this is an enemy tank, maybe an IS-2, I'm getting flashbacks, will come up to this layer of the land, right here, where I am now as you're trying to harass and clear that flank, and he will shoot you here, and at that point, you can't rush him because of the fire support from this position. You need to use the surprise factor of where you've come to dive in and massacre these guys to get an advantage, and then come back once you've cleared that, get straight up here, probably cover your ass because those guys are most likely shooting at you, get round this corner right here and clear this area for your team to come in from the north. A very effective play as well. So, gentlemen, hopefully that's given you a decent idea of what Arctic region is about as a map. It's unbalanced. The heavy tank combat matters for the Southwest team. It's unbalanced. Southwest team can let the enemy push and enforce the play with their mediums. It's a difficult map, but once you wrap your head around it, you find you're easily able to win games, even if you don't get a lot of damage out of them. That's just the way this map is. Oh, I forgot Archie, didn't I? I don't know, like, K7 looks good. Anyway, gentlemen, I will leave you now and we can head back to myself and JDEG's performance on this map in the conference. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you are still here, I applaud you. That is an achievement. I mean, Peabody was with me. He had to drive around the map for, like, 28 minutes. Like, I literally monologued for half an hour about a map. I didn't even know I could do that. So, in that game, you might have seen the icon above that gentleman heading towards the south of the map, which said, "Follow me." Now, I'd like to consider myself a smart guy, so looking at this game when I've logged it, and if you've seen the map review, you know what I said. Keep an eye on what is belonging to the enemy team, because undoubtedly, right here, the enemy have a medium tank advantage, and our team is easily going to win the south of the map. That part is not in question. And so myself and JDEG are going to try and hold this part of the map, but it's at this point where we realise how drastically alone we are on this flank, and that makes us really consider our approach to it. Now, you might have seen this, if you've watched the whole review, you might have seen this play to defend this flank before. What we are going to do is send me, my good self, out wide here, and have Jadeg move up on the hill so that he can get fire over to the eastern side of the map as well. But you're seeing how effective this position can be. Now I wait here and I don't expose myself to shoot at this T10 because I want this T62A to come out in the open. Oh wait, man, I really thought I waited. I guess I didn't. But I do target the T62A, whether that was target prioritization or not. I'm under the impression it was. Okay, so I get to put 2 shots out, and that instantly dissuades them from pushing that location any further. Now, at this point, I instantly abandon this position. Now, that is a conscious decision, because before now, I have stuck in this position with people attacking from this dip here. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. I do not know why. For all intents and purposes, it should work to have Jadeg pull them up around there, and if they follow him, I shoot them from here, but for some reason, the lay of the land, with the SCB-1 out there, it doesn't work. I have no idea why. I've tried it before, it does not work. So, playing on my own experience, I push back in, putting a low roll into the STB-1. I do not want to be caught out there when the enemy push below me. And I get into this dip of land preparing for the enemy to push. Now, we know at this point that our team are going to win the east of the map. It's only going to be a matter of time before they push that advantage. So, we've got to hold. And I've been outflanked seriously here. Ah, that's a lot of enemy tanks. I got an STB-1 up my ass, but the only play right now is for me to reverse into whatever fire I need to take from that STB-1 and draw these guys up and around. I've got to live for as long as possible. I've got to get Jadeg's gun into the game because Jadeg can't come forward to overcommit, so I really need to pull these guys back and start using my tongue armor over the lay of the land. And I don't know what the CDC was thinking. 5.71 rounds per minute on the Conqueror. He evidently didn't give that the respect that it deserves. And I'm constantly just pulling further and further back. You can see my Dystonia playing up there. And the Centurion one goes down, and we just punish for that T10. Now, at that point, I think about playing aggressively, because we can basically take out that T10 very quickly. And with both of us attacking these guys, I reckon we win that engagement pretty easily, attacking all of these guys. But then I remember the STB-1 on the flank. And again, the only option becomes fall back further, delay this combat further. Look at the east of the map. Our team is in their base. It's all about time, and my Dystonia there costing me another shot. That's just about it, getting further and further back. Jadeg tries to pull in front of me to block a couple of shells, shell overmatching the tongue roof of the TVP, and Jadeg's taking a beating up at the front, but he's falling back as well. And I'm not letting up. I want to press the fact that I'm hold down. We can't let these guys close ground for no damage. We've got to constantly harass them, push them, make sure they know that they're not going to come up, they're not going to close the distance without us constantly being there, hold down. We're not giving them anything, even though we're at a massive disadvantage here. You can see us constantly putting out fire, constantly being a hold down. We're never letting them gain ground, because as soon as they do, we die. We know that time is on our side now. We've got to keep them out of our cap circle. It's so important. Look, I'm pushing forward even now. I'm a one shot. I just need to know that where these guys are coming, I need to know that they're not going to come up without me being able to smack them in the face, because these guys have health. The worst thing that could possibly happen right now is this, them to get into an area where they can just push and take our alpha damage and put in shots that will pen us and that will take us down. So that's what we've been constantly doing in this engagement, and Jadeg unfortunately falls down to a shot from the Chi-Chen. Now it's just my good self. We bounce the Panther, gun depressions, not letting us get a shot into the Chi-Chen. And we finally go down. But god damn. And we get accused of camping by the Chichen. And that was one of the best holding fights, holding performances that I've seen. Basically myself and Jedeg single-handedly holding that flank with the help of the Cent 1, who did play his part there, absolutely. But we kept the enemy out of the base long enough that we could win the game with a cat from the eastern flank. And it was extremely good play to see. Gentlemen, hopefully you've enjoyed this map review slash gameplay. Do let me know if it's helpful. Do let me know if you want me to do another map review. And please do leave your comments on what you thought of the style of this video. Did you like the running around the map in the map review? Or would you prefer a more sort of me just sitting here looking at the map and clicking on it? I thought about doing that, then I thought it'd be so much more helpful to actually be there on the map, driving around, so I can give you some examples of positions to outplay the enemy. So let me know your thoughts on that, and gentlemen, until next time, farewell. You like that?
Right, mother.
That joke really sucks.
How are you? I can see the stars and I'm Janus. Lol. Oh, come on!
We got all the kills, guys.
15 kill game incoming!
Oh,
Dude!
well done, well done.
Dude!